Sit down with all them bright lights.
Yep.
And then my sunglasses.
Sure, get the shirt, man.
I got the shirt.
Craig Wharton, project manager. Been working here since the beginning, 30 years ago.
Dennis Zilstorf. I've been with Darren and Dana for 30 years.
Well, I started out in 1984 with Larry DeLong at DeLong Construction as a laborer on a pipe crew and whatever.
That's all I've ever did. I just like big iron.
Then I kind of moved up to running the pipe crew and working in the shop to when they decided to do something different. I worked for Darren in '94.
As far as working with Craig, we like to call him here in the office sometimes Mr. Obvious.
You've got to not take him serious.
So he can walk in, be like, "You have a blue shirt on today." Duh.
He's going to make jokes about anything and everything, and he's going to keep repeating those jokes until they're dead. And that's just over a year's time. Even a year later, he'll come back and joke about it.
Craig, working with Craig. Me personally, I always know when he's in the office because there's always music playing a little too loud and usually some choice words being said over the phone or inappropriate jokes.
Well, a funny story about Craig Wharton. I swear he could be 3 hours away and find out there's a free meal and he'll be here.
He gets more candy and pies and cookies brought to him from the people that he's working around than anybody I know of.
Actually, I know one of the first times I dealt with Craig was down in Columbus Junction. They did a water treatment plant, and I actually had me drive the dump truck down there to do the proof roll, and I didn't really know what I was doing, and they told me just to follow the inspector, and he told me where to drive, and I found the only soft spot and got the dump truck buried to the steps, and then Craig gave me a hard time that now they're gonna have to core that out and put some different dirt in there so it passed compaction test.
There's a lot of stories you can tell about Craig, and it doesn't matter when he started or where he's at today. He'll still make a practical joke out of something and just keeps everybody on their toes.
And I don't think there's been a weekly management meeting that's gone by that Craig hasn't had a stereotypical dad joke that makes everybody laugh. So you can always count on Craig for some one-liners or sound effects.
And the sound effects, oh my gosh, all the sound effects. We were gonna hire Tara or hire anybody for HR. We were all a little bit worried about Craig. I mean, oh my gosh, Craig's gonna get fired because it's not appropriate.
Craig can be quite the comedian, and sometimes we don't quite know what's going to come out of his mouth. So sometimes we kind of cringe when he tells a joke or comes up with a nickname for somebody, but he's always fun to work around. You know, a lot of the work that he does involves tearing up people's yards or making it inconvenient for them to get into their driveways, but everybody loves Craig.
So when I started, we were pretty bare bones, no technology, just old school to now we're GPS and computers and iPads, and went from doing it old school to new school.
Well, that would be your GPS, your climate control cab. You don't set out in the dust no more. The equipment's pretty nice.
Used to, you went out and would take measures and laugh, and drove stakes and made marks, to pretty much stakeless now.
Well, you used to set stakes, and now we don't got to.
I think as working for them, you get treated like family. Feel like you're a part of the people, the company. It's not a number like a lot of places.
Well, they're growing, and they're getting bigger, and they're expanding, and they're getting better and better at what they do all the time.
I think recently here to be able to go out with a GPS rover that stake something, take a few shots, go back to the office, kind of build a 3D file, go out and plug it into the dozer, and then see it transform into what you designed.
When you get a job done, you look back and you're proud of it. Why, That award yourself.
I got a wife and 2 daughters. We like to travel. I like to hunt, fish, and I do a lot of handyman stuff for my family.
I got a wife and 2 kids, and they're grown up, and I still like my horses and my cows.
More dry weather seems to make things go a lot easier.
Good dry season.
Yeah. I think that's what Craig said.
I want to be dry. I don't want to be wet.
I think my most memorable project was we went to, Darren had bid a job over in Albee, Iowa, putting in a bunch of trunk sewer, and we went through a field 27 foot deep in the ground. And we got the job done, and still friends with a lot of the city guys over there that we was working with, so still visit with them every once in a while.
Probably building the interstate. Because I rode my horses down the interstate and nobody believes I did that. Like building a pond, you eat your dinner in the bottom of it before it fills up. Nobody believes that.
Dennis is full of knowledge. By looking at him and getting to know him, he's from rural Brighton. He knows more than anybody else. He knows how to move dirt, very good with his people, and very productive.
The man's a legend. I mean, that's all there is to it. He doesn't love technology, but I think it's because he doesn't need it. I mean, he is technology. He can say there's a hill there and know if it will fill in that hole within a yard or 2.
Looking at it like this, he can usually tell exactly what it needs, and more times than not, he's usually pretty accurate.
Just amazing. He doesn't need technology. Smartphone, no, he's fine.
I did a massive coal mine reclamation with him probably 5-6 years ago now. But we weren't even moved onto the job site. I met him down there one morning, and immediately he told me the job was wrong. This job's all messed up, something is not jiving on this project. And I kind of let it go in one ear and out the other, thinking, oh, we're just getting started. We're not really sure what's going on here yet, but let's just get into the job. A year goes by when we're doing this job. At the end of the job, we found out that the whole project is 2 foot off from design. And so we go back to the engineer and we're talking about it, and they sure admitted that they were 2 feet off. But Dennis said from the start of that job, before we even started, that the plans were not jiving and it was 2 feet off. So I've learned not to doubt him from that experience.
If you haven't met Dennis, in my opinion, he's a guy that likes to work, likes to move a lot of dirt, and you should show up to work and expect to run a lot of machines and do a lot of different stuff and a lot of different ideas. Sometimes that guy has, you might not understand, but in his mind, he has it figured out and it works out.
He's just an interesting guy. You'll learn to get to know him, and he's full of knowledge and has taught me a lot.
Dennis, like I say, he may be a little unorthodox, but he definitely knows what he's doing.
A lot of stories I have about Dennis is it seems like every time I go to his job in my service truck, I always seem to find a mud hole that he is hidden or I get stuck in. And I have a few photos I could show to show that.
I have one funny story that sticks out. We'll pick on Todd Patterson here. We was over in Batavia, Iowa, working on that 4-lane. And Todd was bringing these cans of soup to work, and he'd tie a wire on them and drop them down the exhaust pipe of an SD40 roller to warm them up for dinner. Well, it was getting about dinner time. We had to get this pipe done, so Todd had the soup in there, and we wound that thing up to roll this pipe in, and all of a sudden it exploded and blew the can of soup out the exhaust pipe. Todd said, "That was my dinner."
Guy was running a drag line for us, laying pipe, and Craig, of course, was down in the hole and giving him all sorts of flack, and a couple other kids the same size. And so Glenn swung around with that pipe, and there was water in this hole, and so when they got down just about the bottom, he just dropped that pipe enough that just covered them guys with water. They come up out of that hole wet. I remember that real well.
And Craig has also done a great job picking up on the use of technology. Even though you think maybe he'd be the least likely to be interested, he's very interested in technology, and he will just dive right in and figure out how to get things to work. He's been a heavy job trooper and has really dug into heavy job and how to make that better and how to make it work more efficiently.
Craig and Dennis they just fit in. I mean, you gotta have people that fit in to make a company work. Craig keeps it lively and entertaining, and Dennis, Dennis knows what to do, and if you don't do it that way, well then he moves on. But each of them has got so much value in this company and helped this company make it go well with it.
I don't think that DeLong Construction would be what it is without either one of them. They are what built this.
I remember when I was 5, 6 years old, my grandpa would pick me up and take me to the job site. And the first thing they tell me when I get to the job site, and I still remember to this day, is, we're gonna let you ride around the pickup with Dennis. And so they'd stick me in the pickup with Dennis, and I'd literally ride with him for all day on a Saturday. And I like to say that I probably smoked more cigarettes back then than I probably have in my whole life. But I learned a lot from him, and Craig too. Craig has become a huge friend of mine. I talk to him quite a bit, so when both them guys get ready to retire, it's going to be tough for me personally, because they both taught me a ton.
Thinking of Dennis seems to be when we get some new hires or something like that, and no one has a place for them. They'll say a lot of times, we'll send them over to Dennis, he'll train them, or he'll tell them what to do. I think Dennis does a good job of taking pride in the work that he does and making sure everybody on his team's doing what they're supposed to, which is representative of DeLong as a whole, I'd say.
I hear Darren say all the time, Dennis has forgotten more about moving dirt than Darren will ever know. But he has a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise, and we are blessed to have him as part of DeLong Construction. I don't get to see Dennis as much these days as I used to. When we first started in business 30 years ago, I was out on the job site working alongside Dennis, and he would put me in a roller tractor or wherever he needed me. But these days I don't get to see him as much, but he is our resident expert on dirt moving, and he's a go-to guy when there's trouble, something unusual. He's always got an idea, and if he doesn't, he will spend time and figure it out. I'm just so proud to have both Craig and Dennis on our team. I can't imagine doing this without him. 30 years ago, when we approached them about coming to work for us, I can't imagine what their thoughts were. I was only 25 years old at the time, and Darren was 27, and we had this crazy idea, and they both have such unique talents, and it fits together well, and we just wouldn't be able to do what we do without them.